5 minutes of your time because I want to say a few words about where is our birthday boy. Jack, can you move up a little bit, please?
Where you want me?
Just right up, just sit right there and face me.
Yeah, Jack, you're going to jail after this.
Won't be the first
Okay, so
time.
I want to say a few words about our gracious host and our birthday boy. Now, my name is Phyllis Wolford, and I was married to Jack back in the 90s. Now, that's the 1990s, not the 1890s, okay? So even though the marriage didn't work out, what developed was a beautiful friendship. Now, on my very first date with Jack, he took me to the movies. I really don't remember what movie we saw because he had a terrible cold and blew his nose the entire time. So after the movie, we went to IHOP. And now those of you who know Jack know that he loves history, okay? So I didn't know that at the time. And that night while we were eating, he reached for the salt and pepper shakers. And he proceeded to tell me the story of World War II. Okay, so he said, see this salt shaker? This represents Germany. And see this pepper shaker? Well, now this is Poland. So then he continued. When Germany invaded Poland in 1939, yada, 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 for 20 straight minutes. So I sat there rolling my eyes until I couldn't take it anymore. I said, listen, Jack, these are salt and pepper shakers to me, not Germany and not Poland. He said, you mean you don't want to hear the story of World War II? No, Jack, it's getting late, maybe some other time. Now, Jack and I were engaged for a few months before we got married. And after the first week of marriage, he started driving me crazy with what I refer to as his foreign country stories. Every morning before I even opened my eyes, he was right there saying things to me like, did you know that the Egyptians invented steam heat? Oh my God, I finally reached a point where I had to make a hard and firm rule in our household. No foreign country stories before 8 a.m. Remember that, Jack? And then there was the time that Jack and I were driving down the Beltway. He was telling me the story of the corned beef sandwich. And he said, well, we traveled a few more miles, and I interrupted and said, Jack, how fast are we going? He said, I don't know. He looked at the speedometer, about 50 or 60 miles an hour, I guess. I said, well, I was just wondering, do you think if I jumped out of the car right now, I would get badly injured or I would get killed? So he said, you don't want to hear the story of the corned beef sandwich? I said, Jack, it's a corned beef sandwich. You put mustard on it, you eat it, that's all I need to know. Right? Now, my son-in-law was in the car with Jack once. He got to hear the history of the pickle. Do you remember that? Well, after that, he wouldn't ride in the car with Jack. Now, speaking of food, we all know how much Jack enjoys a good meal. Well, a few months into our marriage, he drove past the new location of the Bob Evans restaurant on Padonia Road. And he saw a sign on the window that said, taste testers needed. So he went in, he signed up, and the manager told him to expect a phone call. He comes home, he's all excited. I'm going to be a taste tester for Bob Evans. He pretty much sat by the phone for weeks before the call came, but it didn't come. So we went to the grocery store, and wouldn't you know, that's when the call came. So I couldn't reach him because we had no cell phones back then. And he dropped everything when he came in and rushed down to Bob Evans, and luckily he got there just in time to taste the last 2 pork chops. And I heard about it for months. So, now, now there's one more thing I want to tell you about our dear birthday boy. If he ever calls you and says, got a minute? Well, you might as well pour yourself a drink, sit down and get comfortable, because I can tell you that minute is going to last at least an hour, trust me. You know, sometimes when I walk in and my answering machine is blinking 4 times, it's a pretty safe bet that all 4 of those calls are from Jack. And he starts out with the same thing. Hi, Phyllis, it's Jack. It's 12 noon on Tuesday. It always seems to be 12 noon on Tuesday. Right, Jack? So, now let me get serious for a moment. All of you who are lucky enough to know Jack know that he is truly one of a kind. A generous, intelligent, sweet man who doesn't even realize how funny he is. So Jack, take a look around this room. I want you to see all the people who love and adore you. And we're all so delighted to celebrate this milestone birthday with you, even if it is the hottest damn day of the year. Now, there's a lot more stories I could tell you about Jack, but I'm going to turn the mic over to my fiance, Rick, and he wants to say a few words. So enjoy the rest of the party, everyone. Thank you very much.